Well, well, well. Happy Yom Kippur. I am up very early, not early, I guess. I don't have school today, so you guys are in for a treat. Okay. I'm up and early doing this. It is currently 10:15 a.m. I have done my lesson plans for tomorrow, so I'm still being a responsible teacher teaching the youth. Okay. We'll go into week number 4 recaps. And boy, oh boy, the tables have turned for a lot of teams. A lot of teams that I was very, very down on in the power rankings prove me wrong. A lot of teams that I was making a bold statement on, oh, the opposite had occurred. I think this goes back. Somebody had said at one point the teams that Nick gets very hyped on wet the bed the next week or something like that. And unfortunately, this has gone back, God, I don't know how long. It might start coming to be true. The team that I put at the number 1 spot, it's almost like a curse. And we'll get into that with the recaps. First and foremost, week number 4. There are a lot of teams I'm giving a free pass on last week. The weather conditions had affected the Philly Jacksonville game and the Buffalo Baltimore game. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, if you had any stock in the passing attack from Philly, Jacksonville, Baltimore, or Buffalo, you're getting a free pass. Those teams did not put up a lot of points. I'm giving you your get out of jail free card. Those teams include myself. Those teams include Johnny, Alan. I'm going down the list. Myself, Johnny, Alan, and I honestly don't even know at this point. If you had any, bottom line is this: do the math, look at your team. If you had any passing attack stock from the Philly Jacksonville game, you get a free pass. If you had any stock from Buffalo and Baltimore, you also get a free pass. Unfortunately, I had a lot of stock in that game, which did not bode well for me. The rain and the windy conditions did not set up for the passing attack. However, one person in particular benefited from the game. Excuse me, I can't even speak. The ground game, and boy, oh boy, somebody had a career day. Let's get into it. Let's go for the recaps. David Krier in a really crappy game beats me 98-91. I really thought at one point I could take it, and the New England Patriots scored 2 touchdowns with the 2 guys I am not big on this year. That Devontae Parker play action, dude, that really, I almost spit out my dinner. Good job on that one. Holy crap, I got to save this one for last. Paul, you've done it again. The 1 o'clock games end. He changes his name to LOL, which is pretty much Paul just saying, like, this is a joke. And it goes into his favor every freaking time. Tom Brady comes out, looks really good against the Kansas City Chiefs, fantasy-wise, not real-life-wise. And Travis Kelce becomes Travis Kelce. So when Paul declares, oh, this is a joke, or I lost at 1 o'clock, the opposite always works out in his favor. So Paul, some might say you might be, the luck is starting to turn around now. This is now 2 weeks in a row. Paul beats Johnny. Johnny, I'm giving you a free pass because you had Isaiah McKenzie and Lamar Jackson in that game. And I know 108. Honestly, I think 108 is now like, the 120. Like, this is a bad year for scoring. Johnny, I'm giving you a free pass. Paul, congratulations. Alan Williams, one thing I was right about, this was going to be your best week. I thought you were going to pull the upset. Alan, I did not know that Austin Eckler was going to come back from the dead and get 30-plus points. Alex Matika, rightfully so, the number 1 seed. Alan, you gave it your all, bud. And you know what sucks? Josh Jacobs, man, had a great game. Josh Jacobs is looking like the guy that people drafted his rookie and his second year in the league. I'm sorry about that, Alan, but it was not enough to defeat Alex Matika. David Sutton, if there was one team who benefited from the crappy weather game, it was David Sutton because they were not trusting Jalen Hurts to throw the ball at the goal line. Miles Sanders, I just talked about Josh Jacobs looking like the guy his year 1 and year 2. Miles Sanders is looking like that hype guy right now. Not really. But in that weather condition game, if you're an Eagles fan, you got to love it, man. You guys can win by throwing and running the ball. So I think David Sutton, you definitely benefited from that. We got to talk about this beatdown. Andre Jones, who I flat out told everybody that 1 and 2, I'm not pushing the panic button on because this team is way too talented, might have just ended Harsh's season and any hope that Harsh has. Yikes, 131-37. But the game I got to save for last. The team I put as the number 1 power ranked team went against the team I had as number 12. And laying on his deathbed, Patrick Leo broke out of his coma, if you want to use the play on words. Patrick Leo has actually put up over 120 2 weeks in a row. He has 152. How'd we get there? Look at this. Look at this. Joe Burrow, 24. DK Metcalf, 18. Mike Evans, 26. Derrick Henry, 22. Dameon Pierce, 22. Tyler Higbee, 12. Romeo Dobbs, 11. Could have had even more of a bigger game. Juju Smith-Schuster, get Poo-Poo Smith-Schuster out of your lineup, first of all. 7 in Minnesota D, 8. Unbelievable. The game ball's got to go to Patrick Leo. Your season is saved. I don't even know who you play next, but boy, oh boy, you needed that bad. Patrick, you could honestly be 2 and 2 right now. Spoiler alert, Patrick, after that performance and somebody else's performance, which I shall not name, if I was to do power rankings today, you would not be at the number 12 spot. And the guy I buried, King Henry, actually looked pretty decent. I'm not going to lie. He actually looked like he could run. We'll see if it continues. We're going to go to waiver wire recaps, and then we'll take it from there. So waiver wire week number 5. God, man, I can't even talk. Maybe it's too early for me in the morning to be doing this, but who cares? Waiver wire recaps. There we go. We fixed it. The week 5 waiver wire, I got to be honest with you guys, there was not a lot that stuck out to me as far as guys I really liked. I think if you were bidding, it was more for need, not want. Because a lot of quarterbacks went this week and a lot of backup or timeshare running backs. And that's the way I see it. By the way, I have figured out the reason why some of the stuff comes up on my desktop versus things that come up on my phone. So the desktop, when I go to Fab Offers, by the way, for those of you that are listening, it will only show me for Fab Offers people that threw money on that guy. And then there are guys that got claimed off of Fab Offers that nobody else put bid on. So the desktop will only show me multiple people who were bidding on that guy. So for example, there's a guy Kenny Pickett, right? Kenny Pickett, for example, which I'll talk about in a minute, went for $20. Nobody else was bidding on Kenny Pickett, which is why it doesn't show up in the Fab Offers column on desktop, because only Harsh was that bidder. So if there's multiple bidders, it will come up in the Fab Offers column. If there wasn't, it won't on desktop. Hopefully that clears the air. Let's talk about the guys that were bid on. This guy, okay, was probably the cover boy of the waiver wire week 5 on any other site or whatever you listen to. The highest bid of the season goes to a Mr. Mike Boone. $81 to a Mr. Robert Coffey. The next highest bid was $30 by Mr. Paul Percall. Then it was Andre with 20. And then Harsh, obviously, trying to get lucky with $0. Harsh, who are you kidding with a $0 bid offer? Get the hell out of here. All right, let's talk about Mike Boone and what my thought process is. First and foremost, I think this would have been a more aggressive bid if Latavius Murray did not get signed. I think that, granted, Coffey is going in and he's saying, this is the guy I want, I need. As far as need, absolutely Rob Coffey, I would have went all in because you don't know with these backup running backs. Rob is doing what Alan does a lot, what I do a lot, and he picks up backups who are not getting bid on and just kind of hoping for the best. But Mike Boone has been in this system for about, I think this is his 2nd or 3rd year. Same with Melvin Gordon. I want to talk about the things that Mike Boone's got going for him right now. Number 1, Javonte Williams tears his ACL. Number 2, Melvin Gordon is the guy he's competing with, and Melvin Gordon has been fumbling ever since. I mean, he's fumbled a lot in a Chargers uniform. He constantly fumbles in a Broncos uniform. Melvin Gordon is one fumble away from being in the doghouse, which leaves the door open for Mike Boone or Latavius Murray. Boone has always been explosive. This is a guy that back in Minnesota now, Johnny knows all about Mike Boone. Mike Boone actually has a fantasy football championship ring around his finger, if you will, in 2019 when I went against Johnny. But he hasn't really been a questionable guy when he's gotten the opportunity. But I love the explosiveness. He's easily, by default, the most explosive back in the Denver backfield. But the Latavius Murray thing kind of makes this a 3-headed committee, which I don't know. The only thing I see happening with Mike Boone right now, which would make him overtake that job, is A, you're banking on him being in the system. B, Melvin Gordon, his time, him and Antonio Gibson literally cannot not put the ball on the ground, even though Gibson hasn't fumbled yet this year. But if you want explosiveness, he's 26 years old. I like it. Was it worth $81? If you were that desperate, in which Rob Coffey doesn't have any running backs on the team, for the desperation and the need standpoint, I give this a B-. I would have given this an A+ if Latavius Murray wasn't there. My issue with signing a Latavius Murray, he didn't even look that bad, first of all. Number 2, I think he might be the goal line guy. It's not Melvin Gordon. I know for a fact it's not going to be Melvin Gordon because they don't trust him. But for need alone, I give this as a B minus. Um, that's that. The next guy who went for a lot is some random guy I've never even heard of. Caleb Huntley for $41. Andre was the next bid at 15, and then Allen with 0. So the reason why I think Caleb Huntley was getting some run after the Patterson injury is because something tells me that Atlanta is not committed to Tyler Algier as their number one guy. Even though Tyler Algier had 10 carries for 80 yards, which is really, really good, something tells me this coaching staff does not trust him as the workhorse, which is why Caleb Huntley is getting work. $41. Paul, you have an extremely deep team. I give this like a C minus. I don't think you needed to spend $41. Paul, I honestly like, especially after the move you made with B Magic, you have running backs up the ass. This made no sense. You don't have any stock in Atlanta. I don't know why you spent $41. Paul, maybe there was something you saw where you're like, yeah, this guy looks good, but I'm I'm dropping it to a D. I don't like it. I don't think you needed this, and I don't see any upside in the Atlanta backfield, to be honest. Like, because this is a guy who might be splitting with Tyler Algier. Johnny claimed Damian Williams, but like I'm not stressing Damian Williams. Tyler Algier is the long-term play here. Caleb Huntley, like, what are we realistically looking for? Paul, you didn't need to do this, dude. And like, unless you're really trying to trade one of your running backs and you're hoping that this guy hits and you keep him, I don't know what the thought process here. I don't like it. Next, Kenny Pickett went for $20 to Harsh. Doesn't surprise me at all. He's probably going to be starting him every week because he cut Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins. It's very risky. Do I like it? No. Chasing Cash, you won Russell Wilson, and who else was bidding? I think it was David. David, you beat him by $1. Allen, what am I going to give this grade? C plus, because I don't think you needed him. I think the difference between Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers is no longer a 30-point quarterback. Russell Wilson, that's a big mystery because he finally looked good, and rightfully so. It was a Raiders secondary that's been diminished. God, man, I don't know how I feel about this. Russell Wilson really hasn't looked that great the last 2 years anyway. I don't know, man. C plus maybe. David, I know, needs a quarterback, so I understand that. Next up, Latavius Murray was another guy who was bid on. So this one was awarded to Allen, Coffey, and Patrick Leo were the next highest bids at $11 and $8. Allen, you didn't spend a lot for him. I hate to admit it, there might be some upside here because if Melvin Gordon puts the ball on the ground, I don't think he's coming back to Denver. He's on a 1-year contract. Denver is in a win now mode scenario, so they might want a guy that doesn't fumble the ball. For the amount that you paid for him, and I think he's immediately going to get the goal line roll. Allen, God, I might give it a B plus. Mike Boone is the hype guy. I get it, and Mike Boone could probably be the pass catching back. If the whole thing is this, Melvin Gordon needs to be out of the equation for this to work out, and Melvin Gordon hasn't done anything for me to have hope in Melvin Gordon moving forward at all. Latavius Murray was $16. I like it a lot. Sneaky guy here, Khalil Shakir, $4. We just got word that Jamison Crowder is out for the season, which means that they have to promote him to the active roster. He played last week. Isaiah McKenzie has a head injury, and Gabriel Davis is still dealing with an ankle injury. You are now buying a guy who might get targets in one of the fun, fast-paced offenses in the league for $4. It's got some upside to it. Rob Coffey. I'll give it a C plus because I don't like if Gabe Davis gets healthy and Isaiah McKenzie gets cleared for a concussion, he's still like 4th or 5th in the pecking order. So C plus, but I mean there is upside here. Alec Pierce went for $10. I am not buying into the Indianapolis offense. Get out of here with that. Odell Beckham, speculative ad at $7. Well, if you're going to keep him there, cool. Return of the King, David Sutton. You got Kirk Cousins for $7. You're in need of a quarterback. Finally, I'm going to give you a B. I think Kirk Cousins won't win you a week, but he won't lose you a week. Kirk Cousins is a definition of 20 to 25 a week, and you have not gotten any quarterback help whatsoever. This guy is the guy to do it. Damian Williams for $5. Johnny, I understand Cordell Patterson might be out for a long time, but Damian Williams is not the answer. And then we had Deion Jackson. I like that pickup a lot. Zach Wilson. Malcolm Brown. We're doing this again, Coffee? I don't know. I don't really have much to say about those guys. Well, I think by far, Mike Boone went for $10. I'm sorry, $81. Sorry about that. Rightfully so. I can't hate on Mike Boone. I cannot hate on the Mike Boone thing because of hype. Rob Coffey is in desperate need of a running back. I think Rob Coffey's team has a lot of upside. They just need one running back to look somewhat good. Could it be Mike Boone? He was the guy who was spent on. I got to be honest, for the amount of money that was spent, I think my favorite waiver wire pickup was Latavius Murray because he doesn't have a lot of competition to beat out. Melvin Gordon is going to put himself in the doghouse like he always does. And Mike Boone is a big question mark. So I think $16 for Latavius Murray. Let's see. So before we get into the matchups column for week 5, there was a trade that was done. After last week, I think, Paul, we know what you're doing with the whole LOL crap. This is the same Paul Percall who literally says his team sucks or a good game or LOL, my team's a joke. And then the reverse psychology happens, the opposite happens. Paul's team out of nowhere has gotten extremely deep in 1 week. So I think the time to strike was now. And Paul, you did a great job. Okay, I can't even hate. And your team is still deep. The trade that was made, Terry McLaurin, Corey Davis, and Keenan Allen for Michael Pittman Jr. and Najee Harris. So let's talk about it. Terry McLaurin, there were a lot of the receivers that were available in round 4 and 5 because they fell. I think the DJ Moores of the world, the Terry McLaurins of the world, and somebody else is in that category. Like, they were guys that fell because we didn't want them. It was just like, okay, we had to kind of take those guys because you were taking those guys over the hype guys like a Marquise Brown, Gabriel Davis, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, it was literally the proven guys who are getting volume versus the what if guys. And turns out the what if guys were a lot better than the proven guys. Terry McLaurin is not leading the team in targets. It's Curtis Samuel, and he's being treated more as a deep threat, which is weird. Keenan Allen has not played since week 1, and he re-aggravated a hamstring injury in week 3, and the Chargers coaching staff is trying to be very, very cautious with their star receiver. Understandably so. I get it. And then we have a New York Jet favorite and a guy that I have a $300 Titans jersey of Corey Davis. So let me talk about this right now. Terry McLaurin, it's interesting because now with Jahan Dotson out, his target share has to go up, but that could also mean the same thing for Curtis Samuel. Keenan Allen, well, this is a guy, when he gets hurt, you have to be very cautious with. I know he's your boy, Paul, but re-aggravation and Keenan Allen in the same sentence is something you don't want to hear. So I understand getting rid of him. Corey Davis is the interesting one in this whole equation because it's not like I trust him every week, but Zach Wilson has the most reps and the most chemistry with Corey Davis. Corey Davis last year had 2 20-point games with Zach Wilson at the helm at quarterback. There is a chemistry going on here, and this is a guy that he trusts. So, he might have to be in the flex radar because it's not like Elijah Moore has done anything this year, although advanced numbers will tell you otherwise. And who's the other guy? And Garrett Wilson doesn't really have chemistry yet with Zach Wilson. In fact, the first team offense with Zach Wilson in his preseason game actually was Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, and Garrett Wilson was being rotated in and out. So they don't have a lot of chemistry yet. Now, the guys that B Magic sent away, Michael Pittman Jr. and Najee Harris. So let's talk about that. I think the best player in this deal is Michael Pittman Jr. by a landslide. So you look to get a guy who's on the verge of a breakout. Michael Pittman Jr., I had as my wide receiver, I was really high on him. 8 or 9. I don't remember, but I wanted Michael Pittman Jr. Najee Harris is a guy I was not big on this year because I think that people were chasing the amount of dump offs, and that hasn't been the case. Kenny Pickett is in. Kenny Pickett is a little bit mobile. Mitch Trubisky was also mobile too. So I am not huge on Najee Harris, but you could do a lot worse than Najee Harris. Bottom line is this. Who do I think won the deal? B Magic, I do think that getting rid of Najee Harris puts you in a bind at running back 2. And you have to wait and see on Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin. I mean, we'll see with that. I think McLaurin, his target share might go up. The bottom line is the best player in the deal went to Paul and Michael Pittman Jr. And who else did you get in that deal? Oh, Najee Harris is another depth piece because now you have Melvin Gordon. You have a lot of running backs with high workload or potential high workload. Paul, I have to side with you on this. I think you struck at the right time, and you still have actual starters on your bench. So good job, Paul. I think you worked it around very nicely. First game I want to talk about, okay? This is a game that I think there's not a lot of expectation now with one team. Um, it's you know what? It's funny because the one team that I'm looking at, that I'm talking about, where it looks like things are going down south, there are a lot of picks I like that they made, and there's a lot of picks that I hate. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Talking about harsh. And then they go against Patrick Leo, who woke up out of his coma, and there's things to be excited about, I guess. The harsh team, I want to just flat out say it. Okay. Antonio Gibson will no longer be startable anymore. We know that. That's not the guy I want to talk about. Um, Picks I like from the harsh team. Cortland Sutton, I love it a lot that he made. And Khalil Herbert pick I like. Everything else, though, like I was not very big on. The guy who proved me wrong was James Robinson, though. I'll give you that. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's talk about it. On the road in Buffalo, Kenny Pickett, wow, versus Joseph Burrow. I think this is a slam dunk winner here. Joe Burrow last year, and trust me, baby, I know all about Joe Burrow in Baltimore in the playoffs, dude. He lit them up. I'm pretty sure if you look at the numbers, Burrow might have had close to 100 points in those 2 games. I think realistically it comes out to 70 or 80, but like he lit them up, dude. I think Jamar Chase has another big game as long as the weather conditions are fine. Joseph Burrow will smash that 25. I think he has a 30-plus point game. Kenny Pickett, harsh, man. I understand that the Bills are decimated in their secondary. They don't have Micah Hyde. Tre'Davious White hasn't played, but they're still like low-key holding their own here. Kenny Pickett, I think, can make George Pickens relevant, and Deontay Johnson will still stay the same. I think it gets really ugly though. I can think Pickett might have like 2 to 3 picks, but he might have some more yardage. It might be your definition of like 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, but like 345 yards in garbage time. But I'm going Joe Burrow all the way here. Cortland Sutton and Brandon Cooks. I guess you have no choice but to start Brandon Cooks now after last week versus DK Metcalf and Mike Evans. I want to talk about the Patrick side of receivers first. DK Metcalf literally took a dump on the Jeff Okudah is a lockdown corner theory. Jeff Okudah locked down Devonta Smith. He locked down Terry McLaurin. And he locked down Justin Jefferson. So everybody's now saying, okay, like Justin Jefferson didn't do anything. In comes DK Metcalf, and he out-muscled the crap out of him. DK Metcalf looking like a nice buy right now, by the way. Oh, and DK Metcalf goes against Marshawn Lattimore, who, if you remember last year, caught an 80-yard touchdown against him, but it's because he fell. He didn't do anything after that, though, so there is something that I would look into a little bit more closely. Mike Evans is back, and he is the only healthy target that Tom Brady has to throw to. And it's Atlanta. AJ Terrell has not looked great. He looked great last week, but overall, not anything to write home about. I'm just spitting the facts here. Cortland Sutton and Brandon Cooks. Cortland Sutton will find, like, he is fine. Like, I'm going to trust him in his workload. Brandon Cooks goes against the Jacksonville Jaguars. On paper, this looks like a great matchup. Look, I know he bailed you out with the touchdown last week, Mr. Harsh, but I'm not big on Brandon Cooks. This was a guy that was like, I don't like these old guys. He's not even that old, but like he's been around for a while. Like, I'm not about it. And he doesn't have a great quarterback throwing him the ball. I mean, this is a slam dunk on the Patrick Leo side. James Robinson, J.K. Dobbins, Derrick Henry, Dameon Pierce. Okay, you're in trouble here. Dameon Pierce, you got to like the reach now because after week 2, I wasn't. But the last 2 weeks, he's been solid, rock solid. Dameon Pierce. And he's getting looks in the passing game. Is our RB1 season upon us with Dameon Pierce? That's the big question. Now, Derrick Henry, the man that I flat out told you was washed, did not look it on Sunday. I believe he had another touchdown called back on a holding or some bullshit. I don't even remember. But what I do want to talk about here with your Derrick Henry, Dameon Pierce nonsense, Pierce is in for a big game, I think. Jacksonville, got gashed against Philly in the running game. I don't know if they have a great defense yet. I think they have a good pass rush, though. But on the flip side, James Robinson against Houston, harsh. I like me some of that. J.K. Dobbins, let's talk about it. Put up 2 touchdowns, but still does not look very good. And Gus Edwards is back, which means that I think this is another crappy committee. Who am I siding with here? Harsh, I think James Robinson has a great game, but I love the matchups for Derrick Henry. Although Washington's been nice against the ground and pound, but Henry has had okay, so if I'm looking at it, he has back-to-back weeks of 22 points. It's against Washington. They might win that game, I think. Uh, I'm not going against the grain here. I don't trust J.K. Dobbins harsh for shit. So I have to side with Derrick Henry, Dameon Pierce. Right now, this is looking like a clean sweep. Except we get to the tight end. Harsh, unless you want to trade him to me for a bag of peanuts, I am calling it right now in a matchup where they're going to have to throw. They don't have Cordell Patterson. I do believe Kyle Pitts will have a big game this week. I am putting my marker on 14 points. But fine, Patrick Leo, you finally realized Dawson Knox isn't the answer and you have Tyler Higbee. You actually did realize that, buddy. Good job. Kyle Pitts, though, on the other hand, I'm giving the advantage to Harsh in this one. This is the week. If he doesn't get it done this week, okay, Arthur Smith's going to get fired. No, I'm just kidding. Patrick, you are a Falcons fan, so I think you would even realize that Kyle Pitts is probably going to break out at some point. This looks like the week to do it. Then we got the flexies. Khalil Herbert, Cameron Akers, Romeo Doubs, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Oh, God. Okay, Cam Akers. I know it was the Niners' run defense, but are you kidding me with 1 point? Herbert's going to be fine if Montgomery is out, though. I do like that matchup. Romeo! The Romeo show. I got to be honest, man. Romeo Doubs is looking like the number one in Green Bay. And it's kind of by default. Although I will say, Harsh, I do like your Christian Watson pickup a lot. Romeo Doubs. So he's literally the definition of 2 routes, fade and a screen. That's all they're running with Romeo Doubs. Maybe a quick slant here and there, but literally the route tree is very simplified for him. It's against the New York Giants team that's not very good, even though they're 3-1. They're playing on London turf. The only issue I have with this, unless Aaron Rodgers wants to just pour it on, this looks like a game where they're just going to run and run and run. I think Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to throw unless he needs to throw. Get Poo Smith-Schuster out of your lineup. He is garbage. Honestly, dude, if you cut him right now, I wouldn't be surprised. Like this guy, look, thank you for taking him, by the way, because I've always been a anti-Juju guy because I didn't think he was ever that good, and he is not doing anything with a elite quarterback. Get him out of your lineup. Khalil Herbert and Cameron Akers. Harsh, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to side with you. Cam Akers might be okay this week. Nothing great, like 8 points. Khalil Herbert, though, I can see him having a 20-point game. Really, I'm very big on Khalil Herbert. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to pick a winner. I think it's a slam dunk. The projections have it at 118 and 105. Patrick might put on 120 for the 3rd straight week in a row. Good job, Mr. Leo. Give me Patrick Leo. Uh-oh. It's that time of year where the Cousin Bowl happens. One cousin sitting at 1-2, the other is 2-1. One cousin team everybody was big on, myself included. Oh my god. Okay, see, this is the crap that I'm talking about, man. Yahoo really likes flip-flopping. I'm pretty sure last week, I don't think Andre's team was close to 130 in the projections. It's now at 127. Jeez Louise, Andre. And then you got Alan at 97. But it's okay, Alan. Like, I'm probably going to be in the under 110 club again this week, too. So don't worry about it. You actually have some good players, though. All right, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to talk about this matchup. So, honestly, this Kyler Murray matchup looks bad. The Aaron Rodgers matchup looks good. Can't believe I'm going to say it. Give me Rodgers. Uh-oh. Get ready, Andre. Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams. All right, so first and foremost, Cooper Kupp's floor is like 20, so it's either 20 or 30 points. It's against Dallas. Oh, God, dude. The Rams' offense is Cooper Kupp. If the Rams don't have Cooper Kupp, they are low-key like a really bad offense. But they have Cooper Kupp, and I'm going to say 26 fantasy points. Devontae Adams against Kansas City. This is looking like a great matchup. So the squeaky wheel narrative. For Devontae Adams to get 9 catches for a 101 yards against Pat Surtain the second is incredible. I don't honestly, the box score will tell you he got the best of Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain didn't let him get by him at all. He kept everything in front of him though. But the fact it's a good route technician, Surtain was giving him a good cushion. He wasn't going to get beat deep. But now you go against a Kansas City Chiefs team that is they get torched by guys on the outside every freaking year. Give me Devontae Adams for a big game. I'm going to project 32 points. I actually do think that Derek Carr is going to have to throw a lot in this game. I think I like Carr, I like Adams, and I like Mac Hollins a lot in this game because the matchup dictates it a lot. But on the flip side, Jamar Chase against Baltimore, he feasted on Baltimore last year. Jamar Chase has been very, very quiet the last 2 weeks. Not this week, buddy. Jamar Chase will get you 28 fantasy points. So it's up for Devonta Smith. Can he match with either Adams or Cooper Kupp? I like this matchup a lot for Mr. Smith. I don't know if it's 20 plus. I think it's 17, though. Right now, this is a ball game, boys. All right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room because you called me out on the Sankey chat. Josh Jacobs. Okay. I never hated Josh Jacobs, the player. I hated Josh Jacobs in this situation he was in, and it's not because you think I bought into the committee. Let me get to that in a second, though. My stance on Josh Jacobs was this. I loved him his rookie year, and I loved him year 2. I think that they constantly, every single week, Josh Jacobs would get around 17 to 20 touches and maybe 2 targets in the passing game. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's pretty good, and he's the goal line guy. I get it. What I didn't like about Josh Jacobs was I think that he was in that dead zone running back range. And it wasn't because of talent. It was because Josh McDaniels is going to come in, and I don't know if the workload was ever going to be like that. And honestly, Alan, week 1, 10 rushes. Okay, so that's not going to get it done. 19 against Arizona and didn't really get much on the ground then. But then we're seeing 13 and 5 targets against Tennessee in a game where he was sick, apparently. And then out of nowhere, we get 28. They're against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. The defense sucks, okay? If they're smart, which I don't think that they are, Vegas, they should run him in the ground against Kansas City because there's a bye week coming up. So you abuse him for 35 touches if you're lucky, and then get him rested up. But something tells me that this is a shootout type of a game where he's going to be limited on the ground because I feel like I can see the overhitting easily in this one by far. Do I think Josh Jacobs sucks as a player? No, but I don't trust the Vegas coaching staff to use him like his sophomore year when everybody got hyped up for him. It's just not in my blood to trust that. Tyler Algier, garbage. Honestly, dude, why is this guy in against Tampa Bay? Brees Hall is the guy you should be starting. Why are you giving up on my boy? Anyway, A.J. Dillon and Ramondre Stevenson. Okay, you're in trouble now, Alan. You're in big trouble. Because A.J. Dillon, I know he's everybody's favorite buy low, this, that, the other, but A.J. Dillon is literally a touchdown or nothing. He goes against the New York Giants. Aaron Jones is still the guy there. We get it. I get it, obviously. But this looks like a matchup where the Giants don't have a quarterback. A.J. Dillon might plot in for one score here, and he might get Andre like 14 points, which is great for the way Andre's team is set up. That's all he needs. And then Andre's favorite hype guy, Ramondre. Okay, so it's still him and Damian Harris. I don't know if he's the goal line back. It looks like it's still Damian Harris. They're split, but I got a hot take here. I think New England beats Detroit. I know Detroit is favored on the road. I don't like that shit. I don't, even if it's Bailey Zappi, I trust Belichick and his defensive scheme. And it's going to be a run, ground, and pound type of a game. I think my hot take is this. I think that both Ramondre and Damian Harris will go over 15 fantasy points. That's my hot take. So with all that I just said, I got to side with Andre here. Gerald Everett, nice pick up there, versus an empty tight end. Well, by default, I got to go with Gerald Everett. Okay, I love talking about the flexes here. Chase Edmonds, garbage, and Tyreek Hill versus Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. First of all, let me explain why I called Mr. Edmonds garbage. Okay, this was a guy that is literally the only reason you took Chase Edmonds is if you went 0 RB or you went wide receiver heavy or you had one running back and then you stacked receivers. Andre did just that. He did the formula the way it's supposed to be done perfectly. The reason why I'm calling the man garbage is because he has literally never, ever, ever, and I swear to God, if it happens, Alan, I apologize. Andre, every bold statement that I've made, the opposite has happened, so you might get lucky here. This clown is not going to get 20-plus fantasy points. Look, I bit into the Chase Edmonds hype his second year because I didn't like Kenyon Drake. I thought for certain if they gave this guy a healthy workload, he would look pretty awesome. He's not a starting running back in the National Football League. He is a great third down running back and a change of pace back because that's, I think, all his body can handle. Raheem Mostert is going to be the lead guy eventually. And I don't see Chase Edmonds, threatening that workload anytime soon. The Jets have been low-key nice against the running game, too. So I'm not having Chase Edmonds. Tyreek Hill. Okay, Alan, you want me to bring up my boy, Lost in the Sauce Gardner, who's locked down pretty much everybody except Amari Cooper, which is weird. Alan, as much as you want me to hype up and say, yo, Tyreek Hill's not going to do anything, the problem is the Miami Dolphins don't run traditionally as a receiver. They move around Tyreek Hill a lot. They move him all over the place. They move around Jalen Waddle. I flat out will tell you this right now. I don't think they're going to have a chance where Sauce Gardner is going to get that opportunity to lock him down because it's the way Miami runs their offense. They put guys in motion. They move them around. It's going to be dump offs in the line of scrimmage. I can't confidently say that Sauce Gardner locks him down. It's just the way Miami runs their offense. So I hope that clarified some things. Flip side, Chris Olave against Seattle. Sign me up. He's the wide receiver one there. Garrett Wilson. Okay, we're going back to the well here, baby. Alan, I'm going to get you hyped up, buddy. You ready? You ready for this mind-blowing stat? You're going to hear it. So I read something on Twitter this morning about my friend Garrett Wilson. When receivers are lined up single coverage man-to-man, the average success rate in the National Football League is 20%. That's average success rate. Guess who leads the league? Garrett Wilson with 54%. You can't line this guy up one-to-one. My issue, though, again, maybe if you think that, and I think you do think the Dolphins, because you're starting the Dolphins defense against Zach Wilson. So the only thing that I hope for your sake for Garrett Wilson to go off is that Zach Wilson has a lot of chemistry with Corey Davis. I said this on the beach with Harsh. I said Corey Davis is a great last round pick because I know myself included, was buying into the Elijah Moore hype. And Garrett Wilson, I think long-term I love. I don't know about rookie year because I don't know about chemistry yet. But boy, oh boy, oh boy. If Zach Wilson, let's say that the Jets get this game out of hand he might have to start chucking it everywhere, and he's got to realize like I can hit this guy in stride. The only routes that I've seen Zach Wilson throw pretty good on are posts and slants, aka novice fucking bullshit over the middle. Allen, those are the only things he can hit in stride. Everything else is improvised him out of a pocket. That's literally all he can do. I get it. Look, I know long term Zach Wilson doesn't look like the answer. Allen, I understand this as a Jets fan, but if Garrett Wilson can get lined up and they have Byron Jones, I don't know if he's coming back this week, but I could see him beating Xavier Howard, who's not healthy, and taking it the distance. The loser in this whole situation is Elijah Moore. It's not Garrett Wilson because they're using him as a long, like, deep threat field stretcher, which I don't like. I feel like I can never figure out these guys with the last name Moore. Funny thing, right? Anyway, but I can't say that Garrett Wilson is gonna do it this week. But I like your matchups. I'm gonna have to go draw. I hate Chase Edmonds. I'm iffy on Garrett Wilson, but I love Olave and Tyreek Hill. I think will be just fine. Draw. Miami D against the Jets. Why not? Los Angeles Rams against Dallas. Well, honestly, Cooper Rush isn't turning over the ball. Rams are an overrated team. Zach Wilson had 2 picks last week. He'll probably have 2 again this week. I have to go Miami. Well, with all that being said, the biggest game changer here, this is a close matchup. I think this is going to be a lot closer than people think. But I think the biggest game changer, it's not even Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams. It's A.J. Dillon and Ramondre Stevenson. I think they're in for big weeks this week. And I think, Alan, I think you might actually have 123 this week. I actually like a lot of guys that you're starting this week. But Andre's team is the best in the league. And I know he's got the harsh curse and the Kyler Murray curse. But I still got to go with my man, Andre Jones. we got a tale of two different 2-2 teams. Let's talk about it. Oh, I'm stretching up. Still early in the morning for me. Hello. All right. One team has lost 2 straight. The other team has won 2 straight. One team looks like on the decline. Maybe so. I don't know yet, though. There was one thing that I want to point out on that. And another team is climbing up the rankings. So, bottom line is this. Okay. We've got 2 guys going up against each other. Same division. It's a rivalry game. One team last week was, I think, the first week where you actually felt good about your team, Paul, and you made some moves. You made some moves. You did, which I agree with. Although I want to thank you very much, Paul, because I was kind of nervous about Terry McLaurin this week. Without Jahan Dotson, I felt like maybe he could take it over the top against Tennessee because they've been god-awful against the deep threat guys. So I'll thank you for that. Tom Brady finally wakes up. He's finally divorced, or not officially yet. The matchup right now has you at 122 to 107, and I can't even fight that. I can't fight it. I cannot fight it. Flat out. I wish I could. Wish I had the chance to fight that, but I can't. Okay. I do think that last 2 weeks I had some weird circumstances why I lost, but no excuses. There's a reason why this projected score is at 107, although they're being very disrespectful on one guy on my team, which is like really pissing me off. Let's get into the matchups here. Jalen Hurts, Tom Brady. Let me say one thing. Jalen Hurts had a bad week because of the weather. It's not that he sucks. I think he's going to bounce back just fine at Arizona. And we remember this, guys. Jalen Hurts' first official start, I think, in the National Football League came against Kyler Murray. And that was a game that was absolutely electric. I think it'll happen again. Tom Brady at home against Atlanta. Do we buy in an angry Tom Brady narrative? Because I certainly do against the Atlanta team. I'm nervous 4 touchdowns happen here, Paul. It's not even me just being bullish on the guy, but I'm going to have to go draw here. I love Hurts against Arizona, and I love Tom Brady against Atlanta. I don't have a clear-cut victor guy here. Okay. This is where I'm going to get nervous a little bit for one of these guys. Okay, my side of the ball. Mike Williams, Curtis Samuel, Deebo Samuel, and Michael Pittman Jr. So I want to talk about the beast known as Deebo. I really thought I had a chance to buy low on him, Paul, but you didn't budge. So it is what it is. This scares the crap out of me a lot. Okay? I'm talking about Deebo here. The Panthers, I could see them laying down and Matt Rule getting fired after this game. I really could. I could see this being an embarrassment. I think the 49ers, are they even home? They're at Carolina. Don't even matter. Don't even matter. Carolina's got a really good run. Like, they have a very good defense, not a run defense, but a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. I love that about Carolina. What I don't like about Carolina is that they're fed up with Matt Rule. Baker Mayfield looks like absolute dog poo. The Niners, I could see so many points being scored just because they hate Matt Rule. And they're going to lay, like, I'm very nervous that Deebo Samuel might have 25 plus points. It's not even that, like, people are going to talk about, but J.C. Horn. Deebo Samuel is not a traditional wide receiver. He's not. He's like what they call him, a wide back or whatever. That's not the type of game he plays. So, like, yeah, J.C. Horn might be on him, but it might be in zone, and they might move around Deebo. I just have visions of Deebo Samuel taking an end around for 75 yards, dude. Like, it's going to be that ugly. Michael Pittman Jr., not worried about. I like him long term, not in this matchup. PS2, Mr. Patrick Surtain Jr. will shut him down. I swear to God, if he scores against Patrick Surtain, dude, oh my God, please don't do it. Yeah, I'm not at all worried about Michael Pittman Jr. Long term, I love the move, but Patrick Surtain, best corner in the league. I think he and Matt Ryan. By the way, I thought this game was in Indianapolis. I feel a lot better about it being in Denver. My side of the ball, Mike Williams and Curtis Samuel. So, I don't know what to think of Denzel Ward. There's games where he looks great, and then there's games where he doesn't look very good. I don't know. Mike Williams is the definition of Big game 1 week, meh, the next week. So if we're following a pattern here, week 1, shit. Week 2, awesome. Week 3, meh. Week 4, awesome. Well, follow that pattern with Paul. I could, even with Keenan Allen back or not, I could see this just being. I'm tempering expectations here. Okay, Curtis Samuel is a guy I like a lot this week, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a game where Jahan Dotson is out. It's a game where I honestly think a lot of points could be scored here. I like Curtis Samuel. I could see him being used in that weird gadgety type role. I like Mr. Curtis Samuel. Running backs. Jonathan Taylor is questionable. Melvin Gordon, questionable. Melvin Gordon might have to take the lead duties in Denver. I get it. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on there. Aaron Jones. Who is this? Jamal Williams. Okay, so let's talk about your running backs. I don't know if Taylor will be out there on a short week with an ankle sprain. It's a big task on a short week. I get it. Melvin Gordon has a neck injury, but like it says, we'll have a mix of Mike Boone after we figure out I think it's going to be a committee, but I do think that Melvin Gordon will start, and he has to look good right out of the gate. If he's looking sluggish, if he puts the ball on the ground, I use this expression with Antonio Gibson. If Melvin Gordon is a cat, he's used up 8 lives already, right? And that's it. But anytime you get a starting running back in a game where it's against a team that's not very good, I mean, you take that, right? Yeah, why not? Jonathan Taylor, look, Paul, I don't even know if the guy plays, I don't think he's going to be that successful. That's flat out. I'm telling you that right now. But I like the way you built your team now, dude. You got 2 wide receiver ones potentially and just like volume at the running back position. But do I like Melvin Gordon? I don't know. My whole issue with that is if Javonte Williams wasn't doing that much, Melvin Gordon, and now they bring in Latavius Murray. I don't know. But it's like the Colts suck, dude. God, they're so bad. My side of the ball now. Aaron Jones is in a favorable matchup against the New York Giants. Paul, you're a Giants fan. You don't even know who your quarterback's going to be, and you have to make the trip to London. It's a mess, I think, for you guys right now. I think the Packers can ground and pound all day long, bro. And that's not me even being an ass. I can see Jones and Dillon probably finding the end zone in this one. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to have to pass all that much. Jamal Williams. I think he's the RB2 on the year, or he's close to it. 2 back-to-back games with 20-plus performances. Paul, I'm going to flat out tell you right now, okay, get ready for this bold take because I don't think Swift is playing, obviously. This is not a big – I can see Jamal Williams looking very bad in this game. I'll tell you why. Nah, it's not the New England's defense, okay? They've given up rushing yards. They don't allow rushing touchdowns, though. Jamal Williams is getting there based on touchdowns. The Detroit Lions have a great offensive line, but I don't know if Amon-Ra comes back this week. TJ Hawkinson, Belichick is taking out either Hawkinson or Amon-Ra. The way I think it's going to be is this. If Amon-Ra is in, he is not going to do anything. If he's out, TJ Hawkinson will not do anything. Jamal Williams could get 5 yards a carry. I don't see him scoring. They haven't projected 10 now because they don't know about Swift. If Swift is ruled out, I can see him being projected for 13. I don't think he's going to have a 20-point game performance. I think it's like a 12-point performance. I'm tempering expectations with that. With that being said, there's a lot of questionable tags in your guys, so I might lean my side at the running back only because I don't know what the hell is going to happen with yours. The ultimate disrespect here is this. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I know I'm always team F the tight end position, but Yahoo, can we put some respect? Tyler Conklin, 3.39? What is that bullshit, dude? Look, I get it. He could easily get 3 points a week, but I can't even get 6. No, you have made. I'm holding that title belt. That pounding that you hear right there, that's very disrespectful to the champion, Mr. Tyler Conklin. I mean, look at the guy. He looks like an absolute beast. But needless to say, I think Travis Kelce against Las Vegas. I understand you're going to win, Paul, in that tight end department. I don't think I have ever seen a tight end being started at 3.39. Whoever is at Yahoo, like, you need to be fired. Get out of my sight. Anyway, Drake London and Christian Kirk, Jeff Wilson and Najee Harris. Jeff Wilson is the guy. Paul, you talked about it's a rental piece. Bro, you need to win games, though. He's great. He looked fabulous, and I think against Carolina, like, I think the Niners, whatever their team total is, hammer the over. Najee Harris, I don't like this matchup against Buffalo, Paul. I'm just going to flat out tell you I don't. But on my flip side, look, Drake London, you had him. You sold him to me. I'm very big on Drake London. It's a game where they're going to have to throw a lot. My bold take here is I think Mariota gets benched. I think Tampa, like, will go out to like a 28-3 lead at the half. Mariota will have 2 to 3 picks. Desmond Ridder comes in, and I don't know what that means yet for Drake London. I like Drake London long term a lot. He is a guy that he didn't do anything last week, but I think him and Pitts could have bounce back weeks this week. Christian Kirk getting that wide receiver 1 workload. I like it against Houston. They're not a very good defense, obviously. Jeff Wilson Jr., Najee Harris. Who do I like in those? So I think guaranteed volume goes to the Paul side. Who has more touchdown upside in this one? Jeff Wilson is probably going to score in this one. Drake London, probably not. Christian Kirk might have some success. Paul, it's deadlocked because I don't like Najee Harris, but Drake London is like a very big question mark. Oh, boy. We got to talk. I can't escape this, can I? This New Orleans Saints defense, huh? Well, you bid on him. This team should be 0-4. I'm going to talk about the Saints, obviously, but not that Denver is any like big upgrade by any means. I'm lounging and I'm saying to myself, dude, well, boy, oh boy, they don't even look that bad on defense, but I don't know what the hell's going on. They're against Geno Smith, one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league right now. Geno Smith will go out there. He will throw 5 touchdowns. 3 will go to DK Metcalf, 2 to Tyler Lockett. And the Saints D is going to be demolished. That's what I want to happen, by the way. It's not going to happen. Paul, I know you were like, you're probably in your car or listening. I don't know where you're at listening to this right now, but I know your heart just stopped for a second there. Anyway, no. Okay, so bottom line is this. The Saints are 1-3. They should be 0-4. They're at home against Seattle. Geno is not like a big turnover machine guy. He's like the definition of he'll take a sack or he'll throw it away. I don't think he's going to force anything in harm's way, but I could see this man get. The Saints the last 2 weeks have gotten pressure. That's why I was so big on them. I was like, yo, you got Tyrann Mathieu. Like, Lattimore's overrated. I get it. But I haven't seen anything that is going to flat out make me jump out of my seat and say, yo, this is the game where the Saints D get it together. You're like, they haven't looked that great, bro. Denver finally got exposed on the defensive side against Vegas. You freaking idiots. But they're at home. I like Denver's D at home a lot more than I do. But here's the issue I have with the Denver Broncos defense. Randy Gregory is going to be out. And I think if you double team Bradley Chubb, I don't think they can get to the pass rush. But here's where I like this matchup. Matt Ryan. Garbage. Absolute garbage. They should send extra pass rushers out there. The only chance Indianapolis has is if they run it down Denver's throats and don't make Matt Ryan throw. That would need a healthy Jonathan Taylor, though. So I would not like this defense traveling on the road, but they are at home on a short week. Jim Irsay just came out and said that Frank Reich is on the hot seat if they don't get things turned around. Frank Reich, this is the guy that everybody thought was a very big sharp 2 years ago. Don't look like it at all. Yikes for Frank Reich. Okay, so yeah, now where's my thought process on this? Because they're at home and Matt Ryan is not mobile, I think that Denver is going to send some extra pass rushers in there, and they don't have much of anything else that they could really do. Who do I trust more, though? The Broncos defense or the Saints defense? Paul, congratulations. It's only because the Saints defense is healthy why I'm choosing them. I think the Broncos might get 3 sacks. I don't know how many points they're going to give up, though. Paul, okay, we're on the keys to victory here. Travis Kelce's the X factor. If he scores, it could be a long day for me. Well, that's at Monday, so we'll see with that. How does Nicholas win? Well, dude, you got to hit over 100 first of all. I think the running backs have to carry the load here, Jones and Jamal Williams. And Hurts has to be back to his quarterback 1 spot. And I think one of Mike Williams or Curtis Samuel has to have a big game. So that's a lot of ifs. The Paul side, well, Brady has to, say, F Giselle, I'm going out there and I'm going to throw 6 touchdowns. Debo's got to be Debo things. And I do think that your running backs, I think you need 2 touchdowns combined from either Taylor, Gordon, Wilson, Najee. And it's possible. I mean, they're getting the workload for it. Paul, I do not take a victor. You are the heavy favorite in this one, though. And I think the way you've built your team is the definition of volume. I like it. I am going to say something, though. Can't believe you're not going with DJ Moore after those 11 targets. I'm kidding. Well, Paul, best of luck, sir. I hope you enjoyed. I gave you 16 minutes of in-depth analysis. Oh, one thing, Paul, really quickly before we get off. The one guy I'm very pissed that I can't start because I am not going to know about his injury, Rashad Bateman. Lamar, I don't know if you saw it. Lamar got him killed on he was running out and then somebody hit him on the foot. The one guy I am nervous that could cost me if he's healthy is Rashad Bateman because I do think if he's out there, he's going to torch Cincinnati. But another guy I like a lot long term is George Pickens, and I could see him being in a shootout type of an atmosphere type of thing. Just saying. Paul, hope you enjoyed the 17 minutes, actually. Well. The man who I did not put at the #1 spot really took out his frustrations, it looks like. And then the man I put at #1, Patrick. Sorry. B Magic, I do apologize, my man. I did give you that #1 spot, and you're in a big game here. Oh boy. B Magic versus Alex Matika. First place could be on the line. We'll see. Joshua Allen versus Derek Carr. Josh Allen is, oh God, dude. Give me 42 points out of Josh Allen. It's against this Pittsburgh team without TJ Watt. I could see Diggs going off for like 2 touchdowns. Derek driving a fancy car, as my man Harshwood used to say. I like Derek Carr, though, a lot. I think Derek Carr has a 31-point game outing. I'm very big on the Raiders passing attack this week. And for that, I've still got to go Josh Allen. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, newly acquired Terry McLaurin. So T. Higgins, this guy is like always getting hurt again. It's a shame. My man CeeDee Lamb, though, looking nice. A.J. Brown against Arizona. I think he'll find the end zone this week for you, Alex. I think the Eagles are going to steamroll the Cardinals. CeeDee Lamb. So, look, I'm not worried about Jalen Ramsey, at all, but CeeDee Lamb will be just fine. T. Higgins, if he's out there, you love him. Terry McLaurin, B Magic. This is a good matchup for Terry McLaurin. He's not getting a lot of targets, though. He's being outplayed by Curtis Samuel most of every week, except for that Philly game in garbage time. Honestly, dude, I still have to go AJ and CD. Okay. Alex, you have 2 of the most annoying players on your roster that I can't fucking stand. I'm sorry. I just have to flat out say it. We'll get to one of them. Austin Eckler and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So we talked about Eckler, how I didn't know what to do with him because, like, even though before last week he wasn't running well, he was still getting a lot of passes in the passing game. But the flip side, Nick Chubb and Alexander Madison. So I like Chubb a lot this week, but Madison, you don't have a running back 2 anymore. Eckler against Cleveland, against Nick Chubb. They're going head-to-head in the same matchup in real life and for fantasy. I love it when that happens. It's just pretty cool. Eckler will be just fine. I'm still not buying him fully back from the running attack because if you watched Austin Eckler last week, those touchdowns, did they not look like a replay? Did it not look like it was the same? Like they ran the same exact touchdown run. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, this asshole. Okay, this definition of luck is this guy. So, hear me out. Against the Colts, he had 0 yards rushing and still found the end zone. What's up next? He gets the league's #1 ranked run defense and rushes over 95 yards and has 2 touchdowns. Are you kidding me with this guy? This guy is literally the definition of a troll at running back, dude. Get him. Oh, my God. Isaiah Pacheco, Rutgers' favorite. He looked really good, but oh, my God, dude. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, give me a break. But it is against the Raiders. Look, Clyde Edwards is going to fall into the end zone every single year. I mean, week. Give it to him. B Magic, I'm sorry, bro. I like Nick Chubb, but Chubb would need a 2 touchdown point game against Eckler and Mr. Edwards-Helaire. 2 tight ends who are busts. George Kittle and Darren Waller. George Kittle is being used to block more. Darren Waller, B Magic. I tried to warn you, bro. He was on my do not draft list just because it was like Adams was going to be bought in there and Renfro and him cancel each other out. It's against the Chiefs. He could score. Who knows? I'm not big on Darren Waller at all. George Kittle, though, I'm not either. Both of you, draw. Devin Singletary and Devin Duvernay, give me Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper. Dude, I'm sorry. If Bateman is out, I still think Devin Duvernay still gets only 10 targets. 10, whoa, that's a big number. I'm sorry. 2 to 3 targets. Singletary against Pittsburgh, sign me up on that. Keenan Allen, questionable against Cleveland. They're still having him as day-to-day. They don't know what's going to happen. They want to take it serious. I mean, obviously take it serious, but they want to take it slow. Amari Cooper versus the Chargers. J.C. Jackson and Asante Samuel Jr. are back. Does that mean that they're going to lock him down? I have no idea. And then it comes out into Buffalo against Kenny Pickett. B Magic. What I'm about to tell you is going to hurt your feelings, and I'm sorry, but I think Buffalo could have 30 points on the defense. Kenny Pickett might throw like 5 picks. He's better than Mitch, but yeah, it's not a defense I want any part of this week. Dallas, they've been good, D Magic. They have been good. And the Rams offense is extremely overrated. I think Dallas defense holds their own. Honestly, they could upset the Rams, but I don't think it'll happen though. Okay, time to pick a winner. B Magic, you're dealing with some shit right now. I get it. I'm sorry I put you at the #1 spot if you believed it was a curse. Alex Matika, you're gonna go to 5-0. Sorry, but B Magic, I gotta go with Matika. All right. I do think that based on record, it is a rivalry division. I do think that both of these teams, at this point, I think they're potentially in the top six. I know Krier, I had you at number 7, although I give you a pass because you had Stephon Diggs and Mark Andrews in a shit weather game, which is why my team and your team, we had a lot of stock in the bad weather games. I do think that you're going to put over 100 this week. I know week 1 and 2 you looked good. Week 3 and 4 point totals have been down. I'm still buying into your team. Maybe not the flexes. The flexes, and this is the same case I have with you every year. I don't like your flexes, but everything else I think is okay. Coffey, Mr. Zero RB himself. Well, you went hunting for a running back and you got one. We'll also have to see how this Rashad White usage is. Okay, I got to be honest with you. I was not on Rashad White. I thought Buccaneers are in win now mode. They're probably going to ride and die with Leonard Fournette. And now fantasy community wants to see Rashad White. Is this thing going to happen? I don't know. That was literally the first thing when I opened your team. That was the first thing I saw. All right, gentlemen, you are in the Alex Matika division. Right now, he is killing it. So one of you really needs to win to stay afloat. We've got two teams that are built differently, but the one thing that is for certain with both of these teams is that they have two holes. Rob Coffey, you have not found out a running back yet. I'm sorry, Travis Etienne is not the answer. Looks like James Robinson is here to stay. On the flip side, David Krier, the flexes looked good last week, but don't even get me started with the Devontae Parker bullshit. Now you're going Hawkinson. This is going to be an interesting matchup because I do think that the New England Detroit game factors in a lot of this game. Let's talk about it. Justin Herbert on the road against Cleveland versus Patrick Mahomes. I had been critical of Patrick Mahomes, and it's not him, it's his team. This Chiefs team does not scare me at all. At all. I know that some of you might say, oh, well, they should really be 4-0. Look, this team, if they want to win, they are not Super Bowl bound. I think that the Bills could beat them 1-1. And I think the Ravens could also beat them. There's a lot of teams that could take over them head to head. Problem with Patrick Mahomes this year is if he's going to get it done, it's going to be based on like 3 touchdown games. Because I don't see this guy putting up a lot. He will still have them, Coffee, but I don't see him putting up 300 plus like we're used to seeing. And it's because of the talent that's around him. Marquez Valdez-Scantling cannot separate. Juju Poo-Poo Smith-Schuster is garbage. Sky Moore is the only hope, I think, if this guy develops into anything as a deep threat. And McCole Hardman is also pretty garbage at this point. It's literally him and Travis Kelce. So, like, the stat line that Mahomes put up, if you go back to week 1, where he had 360 passing yards, that was cool. But then Chargers, 253. Indianapolis Colts, 262. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 249. I do think that those stat lines are very similar. In other words, my bold statement, Patrick Mahomes is still a top 5 quarterback just because of the talent alone, because he is going to have to run a lot more. So you're going to have that baked into it as well. But I do feel like this is seeming a lot like Russell Wilson in his last stint with Seattle. Maybe not, obviously not as bad as last year, but the year before that. I think it's like 250 to 270, and you need to hope on 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think that's his, thing. Good news for you, though, the Raiders, team that can't cover anybody. Herbert goes on the road against Cleveland. I like Cleveland as the home dogs in this game from a betting standpoint. I actually have more faith in Mahomes. After all that I said, it has to be based on matchups. And the Raiders cannot cover anybody. I think every single year they struggle with Travis Kelce. Kelsey's going to eat. Unfortunately, doesn't look good for me in my matchup, but I'll go with Patrick Mahomes' route. Stephon Diggs, Deontay Johnson, Justin Jefferson, and Jalen Waddle. So, one of the matchups that I am going to be refreshing my phone as I'm sitting down on the couch watching all these football games is the Stephon Diggs matchup versus Justin Jefferson. Pittsburgh has been abysmal against wide receiver ones all season. The only team that has not gone over the 100-yard mark against Pittsburgh is the New York Jets. Is anybody really shocked about that? No. But if we look against wide receiver ones against Pittsburgh, Jamar Chase had his best game of the season. He went over 100 yards. Who did they play in week 2? They got shellacked. Oh, New England doesn't have any 100-yard guys either, though. So, but Jacoby Myers had 90 yards. Amari Cooper had over 100 yards against them, and the Jets don't obviously have the quarterback to get them 100 yards. You get what I'm saying? Stephon Diggs, I think, will get my bold take 11 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think he absolutely smashes. He absolutely destroys. And it's a great matchup, but Gabe Davis ain't healthy. Isaiah McKenzie might not get cleared. This team cannot generate a pass rush without TJ Watt. Bottom line, give me Stephon Diggs, even though I think Jefferson will probably eat as well. The good news for Rob is that the Bears kind of suck too. So with that being said, Justin Jefferson had a 2-week stint where everybody and their mom was telling about buy low, this, that, the other. We get it. Chicago says they're the second best team against wide receivers. That's because everybody runs all over them. I am not scared at all. Jefferson will have his game, but I don't think it's enough to stop the Stephon Diggs performance. Give me Stephon Diggs. On the other side of that game, Deontay Johnson. Looks like the projections are very low on him now. I don't know why. Like, it's Kenny, like, that's an upgrade unless they're buying in a George Pickens. I'm obviously buying in a George Pickens, but this is a tough matchup for Deontay Johnson against the Buffalo Bills. They've been very good against wide receivers, even without Tre'Davious White. I do think he hits over the 8 because I think that the Bills will probably be up by 35-10 at halftime, and then it's just going to be a bunch of garbage time dump offs. I think I can see Deontay Johnson, that stat line against Cleveland, like that 8 for 84, I think it's going to be similar to that. So I'll hit the 12 points on Deontay Johnson. Oh, boy. Jalen Waddle with Teddy Bridgewater. We say this every year. Teddy Bridgewater is very hesitant to check down. Excuse me, not check down. I'm taking a sip of this tea that is just absolutely amazing. Green tea with lemon and some honey. It's very good. So I'm taking sips in between. But Jalen Waddle with Teddy Bridgewater, I think, is a perfect match. We can talk about how Sauce Gardner has been a beast on the Jets' defensive side of the ball, but the way Miami moves around their guys, I don't think you can necessarily lock Sauce Gardner because these guys don't really line up that much on the outside. I think it's going to be a lot of dump offs, going to be a lot of screens, going to be a lot of end arounds. Jalen Waddle should be the preferred target here. And the one thing that the Jets have done very bad against this year, they're great on the outside. DJ Reed is also having a great year. I know everybody wants to talk about Sauce Gardner, but DJ Reed also looking pretty nice on the Jets funnel everything to the middle of the field. If you're a guy in the middle of the field, with the exception of wide receiver 1, because it does look like Sauce Gardner likes to travel, this looks like a spot where Jalen Waddle should eat, and eat. Although we did see that Tyreek Hill had a better connection with Teddy, but I like Waddle against the Jets. If I'm having to pick a victor, it's dead even. I do not have a strong lean here. I think both these receiver matchups are very, very even. And that's me factoring in because, like, I have a great feeling that Stephon Diggs goes off. Rob, I think you might get away with having no running backs against David Krier. Joe Mixon, he got you 15 points, but it was literally like putting so much effort into getting that 15 that I don't even feel very confident on his long-term outlook. James Conner, bust. Okay? I would have been dead in that scenario. It was either DJ Moore or James Conner. I would have lost either way. If I'm a James Conner owner, I do not feel good at all. Maybe he still is hurt. They need to get him out. I want to see some more Eno Benjamin. Eno Benjamin to me looks like their best running back when they use him. But I don't think we'll ever get to see that because for whatever reason, the Cardinals and their terrible head coach are committed to James Conner 2.5 yards a carry or whatever the garbage number is. I need to see some Eno Benjamin. Coffey, with that being said, Travis Etienne, I think this looks like a James Robinson game. Rachaad White, I want to pump the brakes a little bit. He's sparingly getting used, but I don't think he's taking Fournette's job. I have to side by default. Joe Mixon is the only confident guy in the running back room. Got to give it to Krier. David Njoku, Coffey, I got to be honest with you. I don't know how you got him for $0, but great pickup. I love David Njoku. Njoku last year when he played the Chargers, granted it was without Derwin James, though. But he went off, dude. It was one of the best games of his career. Is that going to happen again? I don't know. Chargers defense has been bad. very, very bad. They can't stop a nosebleed, man. Bosa is out, so I think Jacoby Brissett's going to have a lot of time in the pocket. Cleveland offensive line isn't even that bad from what I can remember. I think Cleveland even wins this game, to be honest. I'm just not about the Los Angeles Chargers. Um, Flip side, though, Mark Andrews, especially with Rashad Bateman being questionable, and I don't think he suits up in this game. Andrews at that 13.9. I got to lean David Krier side. All right, Krier and Coffey. I think the flexes are really going to determine this matchup because there's a lot at stake here. But Krier, it's very weird because it almost looks like you're betting against yourself with your defense here as well. We'll start with the Krier side. Damian Harris, TJ Hawkinson, Chris Godwin, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So if you've been tuning this part out, this is the most important part. I'm going to go very, very in depth. I have a theory here about both things. First of all, Detroit has been in shootouts every single game. I think this is the game where they do not score a lot of points. Number one, they are on the road. They are not at home at the turf. Usually when you're in a dome at home, you're going to put up a lot of points. I mean, that's just the nature of football. However, they're going on the road, and the health status of DeAndre Swift in question, as well as the guy that Coffey has, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So here's how I'm going to break this down. TJ Hawkinson had a ridiculous game, and I know Krier looks like you're point chasing there because you have him in. Normally, I would call you out for point chasing, but you're making the right call because I do not like anything else that you have on this bench at all. I think they all look like shit, to be honest. Here's my theory. I think that New England wins this game, but I think it's like an ugly game. I could see it being like a 17-13, like last second field goal type of like a heartbreaking Detroit loss, pretty much. This is what I have to say. Amon-Ra St. Brown. If Amon-Ra St. Brown is out there and he plays, Belichick's going to take him out of the game. Flip side, if Amon-Ra St. Brown does not suit up for this game, because they do have a bye next week, and I think they're going to be looking ahead to that. Ladies and gentlemen, whoop, TJ Hawkinson is going to be the man who's going to get taken out of the equation. It's the way I see it. So there's a lot at stake here because, believe it or not, there's 4 players in this game. 3 of them are on the Krier side. Let's talk about Damian Harris. This is a game, especially if it's Bailey Zappi. The Detroit Lions defense sucks. Oh my God. Look, I was a huge Aaron Glenn cornerback fan when he used to play for the New York Jets and Houston Texans. My God, this poor man. He's gonna get fired. I think he's a nice guy, but like, oh my God. I feel bad for him. Everybody else is doing their job except for him. Damian Harris. Okay, I want to talk about him. He still has the goal line work. He is in more of a split with Ramondre Stevenson, but I do think he finds his way into the end zone in this one. What I basically said, if Amon-Ra St. Brown is in there, I think TJ Hawkinson looks okay. But if he's not, I think Hawkinson puts up a donut. I was not big on TJ Hawkinson this year because of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I'm still staying with that point. Now, the other guy we didn't talk about, Chris Godwin against Atlanta, he's going to play the slot role. He looked a little bit better than he normally was in and off the injury, whatever you want to call it. It's that, the other. I like Godwin. So this is the way I'm going to say. Oh, and by the way, New England D and San Fran D, I think both of them might combine for a bit like 45 points. I really like both these defenses in this matchup. With that being said, if Amon-Ra St. Brown suits up, I don't think he does much. He might even be a decoy because Detroit is desperate. Therefore, I like Damian Harris and TJ Hawkinson. If Amon-Ra St. Brown does not play, that means Coffey has no choice. But I don't even know. I guess Allen Robinson. But I like Godwin and I like Harris, and it's weird because I think it comes down to that. So the Detroit-New England game factors in a lot. If David Krier is to win, the keys to victory are this. Your running backs need to get 2 touchdowns combined. If that means Joe Mixon scores 2 or 1 for Joe, 1 for James Conner, I can tell you right now it's not going to be James Conner. He looks like absolute dog poo. I honestly think that if I was you moving forward, I would try to look for a trade for somebody else. James Conner is not getting it done. I think it's only a matter of time until they realize that. He was great last year, but thank goodness I didn't take him this year. On the flip side, Mr. Robert Coffey, you got Patrick Mahomes, Justin Jefferson. Jefferson needs to be Jefferson on his side of the ball. And I do think that this weird match, if you have New England and Detroit, I think you need to win in favor of that because he's got a lot of stock into that game. I have to pick a victor in this one, and I really like this Rob Coffey team. I think the biggest issue that they have is the running back position. Luckily for them, the team that they are playing does not have a good running back. However, Mark Andrews coming off of a dud performance, I am always buying into guys who don't do well one week and then they explode next week. I think Mark Andrews is the biggest X factor in this one. And if I am considering Stephon Diggs to go off, regardless of what Jefferson and Waddle do, it's going to be a tough one. But I really like the setup that David Krier has. It's a close projection, 123 to 121, and I think it is going to be that close. I'm going to say David Krier 138 and Rob Coffey 133. Okay, this is the matchup of the week. I got to be honest with you. I had a bit planned out Sunday night. I thought for sure before the Chiefs and Buccaneers played last Sunday night, I thought to myself, okay, this is going to be a long, long rivalry. Two people who live in the same house, and both are going to be 3-1. And then Paul pulled the LOL crap, and then we know how Paul operates. He says the world is going to end. He hates himself, this, that, and the other, and then it works out in his favor. So, Johnny, if you're worried about the bit that I had and you were looking forward to it, you can go in the chat and you can say, screw you, Paul, fuck you, Paul, do whatever you want because he ruined the special moment for you. And I'm sorry that you had to see that. Like I had mentioned in the recap of week number 4, I had mentioned that a lot of teams regressed last week because of the weather conditions in Philly and the weather conditions in Baltimore. Johnny, I'm giving you a free pass and Rashad Bateman also left that game in the third quarter early on because he almost got him killed, your boy. And I'm giving you a free pass. David Sutton, you definitely benefited from the shit weather in Philly because I don't even think Miles Sanders had a 27-point game when he was like hyped up as like the quote unquote guy. Will that continue? The projections have this as 131 to 115. Can we pause this for a second? Jonathan Ahern, you are the most overrated team when it comes to projections. There is no reason in a year that scoring is way down, my friend. There is no reason why you should be projected at that 133. And I'll tell you why they think that. They think that, you know what? I'll save it until the matchups department. But there's another guy that I thought's team was overrated, and he is 3-1 sitting atop of the division. David Sutton. I got to be honest with you. I don't know how you pulled that one off. Once we saw Justin Jefferson in London, and I said, you know what? David's got his work cut out for him. And what did you do? I said you had to start Josh Reynolds, and you did. And I'm not taking credit for it at all because you did spend $1 on him. I don't know what that deciding process was. I don't know who you. Oh, Ayuk. So good move there. But yeah, man, that came into play. Josh Reynolds spot start, man, and like everybody was hitting. So you had a great week last week. Can it continue? Lamar Jackson versus Jared Goff. Okay. Um, this is an insane mismatch. Johnny, what I'm about to say might scare off David, and I apologize if he gets cold feet. But I'm going to say it anyway. I think that this is one of the biggest mismatches in the quarterback matchups this week, with the exception of Harsh starting Kenny Pickett against, I don't even know who he's going against, but he's starting Kenny Pickett. Lamar against Cincinnati, I think is due for another outburst. Hopefully, for your sake, Rashad Bateman can play, but I don't think he even needs him to reach his ceiling. He can do it on his legs. But watching Devin Duvernay and Demarcus Robinson try to get open was pitiful. It was like having two James Canadas out there. Jared Goff is a bust this week. I know that Goff is ranked, as gross as it sounds, the fourth ranked guy, 19 points, 35 points, 15 points, 41 points, excuse me. I think this game is close to that 15-point range. I know the Lions have the best offense because their defense is giving up so many points. Bad news for them. New England has a good defense, and New England can't score on the offensive side of the ball. I do think this is a gross game. I think that the running backs are going to have gross stat lines on both teams, and I think they plot into the end zone. Jared Goff, if he doesn't have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bill Belichick's going to put in that tape. He's going to say, do you see how TJ Hawkinson is running wide open down the sidelines? Take this stupid idiot out of the game and let him force to the outside where I think he's just going to have to throw chucks to Josh Reynolds. Good news for you, David. If Amon-Ra St. Brown does play, I think that Goff, who I still don't like, won't be as bad. I think this is an atrocious Jared Goff performance. I think, Johnny, you can actually, if he starts Jared Goff in this game, I actually do think that you can afford Michael Thomas to be a decoy, which I think he's going to be. Spoiler alert. No, just kidding. But what I'm trying to say here is, Johnny, Lamar is going to cover your ass big time if Jared Goff has a dud game, which I expect to happen. Receivers: Michael Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, Gabe Davis, Marquise Brown. I have to be honest with both of you gentlemen. I absolutely think that all these receivers in this matchup go lower than their projections. Michael Thomas, Johnny. I tried to tell you, my man. After week 1 and after week 2, Michael Thomas should have been sold. I'm pretty sure you had to have at least sent out an offer or at least been in a text with Michael Thomas. Chris Olave is that guy. The only thing I would say in favor, if you don't want me to totally bash the guy, the only thing I will say in favor of Michael Thomas if he suits up is it looks like it's going to be Andy Dalton again. And if that's the case, Michael Thomas might be Drew Brees Michael Thomas and get everything underneath. How many targets that is? Got no idea. I wish I could help you out there, buddy. Flip side, Chris Olave is the number 1 wide receiver for this team. I think we all knew it was going to happen, but I think like I said, Allen got very lucky that his team isn't total dog poo because Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are being used a lot earlier than I think anybody had anticipated. So that's good for Allen. Not good for anybody else who doesn't have those guys. Jerry Jeudy, he's not getting enough targets. I still think you won that deal, which we'll get to in a minute, but it's literally a deep bomb touchdown or the guy is not scoring. I think it's all Russell Wilson to Cortland Sutton, and then the secondary piece is Jeudy, Hamler. We know it's not Alberto. I mean, that guy, literally definition of a milk carton. I don't even think I see him out there anymore. It's all these other random white tight ends. I'm going under on Jeudy, and I'm going under on Michael Thomas. Flip side, Gabriel Davis. Well, I told you last week that he was a decoy. Funny thing is, he ran the most routes last week on the Buffalo Bills. I haven't looked at practice reports. I'm currently doing this at 1:24 a.m. No way. p.m. today. And I haven't seen any reports. No questionable tag, but he did re-aggravate it. David, I'm still under the impression that this guy's going to be a decoy, which is a shame because I think he was going to have a monster season as a number 2 deep threat. A guy who is living up to the hype, Marquise Brown. And I think he will, even if DeAndre Hopkins does come back. Bad news for Marquise Brown. This is a really bad matchup for him. David, you're an Eagles fan. They are locking down everybody. And the best part is Jaguars try to move Christian Kirk around, and they didn't let him get anything going up until that 45-yard catch in the fourth quarter. I'm going way under on Marquise Brown, too. I think the Eagles dominate the Cardinals. I mean, it could be something like Arizona doesn't get the ball moving at all in the first half because there's a stat they're the worst team in the first half, but they're the second best team in the second half of football games. So normally that actually bodes well, but they don't start out strong at all. Marquise Brown could be looking at a donut in the first half, and I think he only gets you like 7 points this week. With that being said, I absolutely hate both of these. The guy who's in the best matchup is Gabe Davis, but because of that, I don't know about his health. But I'm still going to go the Gabe Davis side because I don't like Thomas and I don't like Jeudy. One of these people that Johnny has in his running back spot is extremely overrated. And David, you have somebody who's extremely overrated. This is the overrated bowl, I guess. Just kidding, boys. Relax. Relax, David. Don't, slam on your brakes if you're driving or something. And Johnny, I know you're rolling your eyes as you heard that. Relax. There are some good things I do like about these teams. Relax. There's a lot that I don't like, though. Saquon Barkley, I love him. I mean, this guy was on a mission and he said, look, I know my offensive line sucks and I know I'm still going to be on the Giants, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, I am going to show the world why I'm the running back 1 of fantasy football. And right now he is doing so. You know what? That's a clap, a round of applause for Mr. Saquon Barkley because he burned me one year and I had to choose between him and Swift. And I chose the guy with the better offensive line, knowing that both of them were going to get hurt at some point, obviously. But Johnny, that was a good pick. Okay. I'm not going to hate on it, but I don't like him in London with no quarterback. I think that's the definition of whoever the hell they have back there. It's going to be like Barkley 20 carries for like 50 yards and maybe 2 catches for 23 yards. I think this is finally, I know the Carolina Panthers game, he had a dud game, but he still got you 10 points. I think it's going to be the stat line is going to be closer to that. So I'm going to say 10 to 11. So I'm going to take the under on the 16. This is the guy I'm talking about. Mr. Overrated himself, Dalvin Cook. Okay, it's clear that the Kevin O'Connell regime wants to be pass first. Now, when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, but they still got a Dalvin Cook thing in it. But I never was big on Dalvin Cook even in his prime because of injuries. And I know he's dealing with that shoulder ligament, but here is where things get very concerning. He's not even the third down back anymore. Like, how in God's name did Alexander Madison become a third down back? I'm clueless. Dalvin Cook has been a very big disappointment for where you took him. And I don't even if it is the Chicago Bears, I'm not liking Dalvin Cook. Speaking of guys that are overrated, we're on the David side. The Kamara thing. What the hell is going on here? We don't know. I know you have him in the starting lineup, but Mark Ingram isn't even really a great backup. Good news for you, David Sutton. Latavius Murray is gone. I mean, Denver must be that desperate for a running back. Look, if he suits up, it's a great matchup. But like this guy has shown me nothing to be. And look, especially when the guy gets there up there in age, and I know he's not old. He's 27, I think. But I am not an injury optimistic guy by any means. If there's a guy when we draft early and he's supposed to go in the first round and they say paper cut, like I might even stay away. I don't like drafting injuries because it's just not. I'm not an injury optimistic guy. I do not trade for hurt players at all. I think you're stuck with Alvin Kamara whether you like it or not. One thing that was a positive spin when I was critical of your power ranking team, I said Christian McCaffrey's not even being used in the pass game. Well, guess what? I think you got your wish. If that continues, you have Christian McCaffrey, who you thought you were getting. You know what the sad thing about this is? Do you know what team in the National Football League gives up the least amount of pressures? The Carolina Panthers. And they have yet to have a 300-yard offensive performance. Baker Mayfield is absolute shit. That's a shame. You're wasting DJ Moore's talent and you're wasting Christian McCaffrey's talent. Because let's be honest, at a running back age, you might have only 2 years left. But this is absolutely pathetic. Good news for you, David Sutton. I think they're going to have to dump it off to him more because I think that the 49ers killed him. I think McCaffrey is not going to do anything on the ground game. I think he might get 7 carries. They're going to have to abandon the run early. I think he gets like 7 carries for 17 yards, but he might catch like 8 for 80. And if you want me to throw in a touchdown there, because I'm in a good mood, I will do that. I'll take the David Sutton of the running backs because I don't like Barkley this week, and I don't like Cook. Alvin Kamara, I have no idea what the hell you're doing, though. Pat Freiermuth, like this with Kenny Pickett, Johnny. Good call. And Dallas Goedert, who is still like, he's a safe tight end, but he is not, I think if you want Dallas Goedert to be amazing, I think he needs either, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it, not going to say it, not going to say it because I have Jalen Hurts. Not going to say it. Forget what I was going to say. Erase it from your memory banks, especially because you're an Eagles fan. Bottom line is this, I don't think he has much upside being the third guy in the pecking order. Technically, it's like him and Smith, but whatever. Now I have to pick a winner. Well, I like Freiermuth with Kenny Pickett, but like I'll take Dallas Goedert on the road. Lizard King, Leonard Fournette, Ayuk, Miles Sanders. Well, Lizard King is not a wide receiver 1, I think. But he is like, he's doing just enough for you to like start him, and that's fine. It's against the New York Giants. My only concern with this matchup is Aaron Rodgers is now at the point in his career where he doesn't give any fucks, and I think he wants to be in a position where he doesn't have to throw as much at all in a game. I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers throws like maybe 20 times in this game. I could see it being all Jones and Dillon just because I think that the Packers defense, they're going to be up all game. They're going to have some fun in London. They're going to introduce themselves to the boys and the blokes in London. Leonard Fournette. Whole fantasy world is on Rachaad White, and they're panicking about Leonard Fournette. I'm not buying it. I know the 3 attempts for -3, and then he was catching passes. I understand that Rachaad White wants to be bought in there as the pass-catching specialist, But that was because in that game they fell behind early and they said, you know what? We need some explosiveness. Let's see what we have in Rashad White. So one thing that we know is that this is a different coaching regime with Todd Bowles than Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians did not trust anybody. But the fact that we did see Rashad White is just something to keep an eye on. Johnny, I am not panicking at all. In fact, I think Leonard Fournette should be a buy low off of this news. So Johnny, if you're looking to trade Leonard Fournette, maybe we can work something out, baby. Anyway, Brandon Ayuk and Miles Sanders. I can't start Brandon Ayuk with Jimmy G. It's just I don't think it's born to happen at all. Sorry, David. I really like Brandon Ayuk with Trey Lance, though. I like because now he's not a deep threat anymore. He's like a possession guy. But when you have Debo, the good news for Brandon Ayuk though is that he's definitely supplanted George Kittle. I saw a joke on Twitter and somebody said George Kittle, is now the starting left tackle for the 49ers. He's being used that way. So I do think it's all the run game and Debo, unfortunately. Literally, it's two guys. Everybody else is just kind of there. The man himself, the man that you could not trust, came through for you with 28 points. Mr. Miles Sanders. It's against the Arizona Cardinals. Looks to be a favorable matchup on the ground. Everything looking good for Mr. Miles Sanders in this one, too. But I'm still under the impression that I think those 28 carries, obviously, I think, like I said, I know you have Kenny Gainwell, and Kenny Gainwell is a great prospect. But I do think that Boston Scott is the direct handcuff to Miles Sanders. And with that being said, if Miles Sanders was to go down at any point, I mean, Mr. Scott is an intriguing player. He's an intriguing player. But Boston Scott was out, and he got fed all those carries. And now that's good for the coaching staff. They can trust him now. But do I think that's going to happen? No. Can he reach 12 points? I don't know. I think that this is a Jalen Hurts bounce back game. I'll say 10 points. Green Bay D against the Giants, beautiful call. Oh, God. Philly shellacking against Arizona. I could see this being bad news, but I got to go Green Bay. Yeah. Yeah, boys. Yeah, boys. Bottom line is this. I'm a little pissed off at the Yahoo projections. There are a few teams I think are deserving of closing to that 130 range. Johnny, I don't see it. I think they're living off of Dalvin Cook thinking he's a running back one. He's not. He's maybe, and I use the term maybe, a running back two, especially with him being hurt. You know what's funny? I actually like the Fournette projection more than I like the Dalvin Cook projection. I think Michael Thomas is like, why in God's name are you projecting 13 points for Michael Thomas? I don't know that. Judy, I think, should be in the 8 range. He shouldn't be at the 11 range because it's literally a deep bomb or nothing type of thing. But Johnny, there is one guy I think that they are low on projections with, and that's Pat Freiermuth. I know it's a tough matchup against the Bills, but I would start. Don't be surprised if this man gets projected into the 10 to 12 point range. Oh, okay, no, I'm out of my mind there. 8 to 10, 8 to 10. I think he deserves a little bit of respect on that regard. And Barkley, I think, should be higher every single week. I think he should be 18, not 16. David Sutton, if you want me to start calling out your guys or who I think is low, Goddard is fine. I think he's 8 to 10 in that tight end range. Ayuk should be like 7 to 8, though. He's just not being used enough to get that 9. Marquise Brown is a guy I think should be a lot higher. Not in this matchup, but I do think that you're going to start seeing him being in the 13 to 14 point range because he gets a lot of volume. And for this week, the 22 points at New England for Jared Goff, way too high. I think he should be close to the 18 point range. That being said, I think it honestly comes down to one thing, and it's Lamar Jackson. I literally am like, if I'm at the if I'm at a poker table right now and I say, who am I betting on to win? I don't even need to go for, okay, let's not get out of control, Nick. Okay, I'm going to slow myself down for a second. All I need to do is look at Lamar Jackson versus Jared Goff because if Jared Goff has another great week at New England on the road, I would be absolutely shocked. But this does not look like a type of a shootout. It looks like an ugly, gross game, not a shootout type of a game. Bottom line is, when I look at Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff, I'm taking whatever I have in my savings account. I'm saying I'm betting on that guy. Johnny, you bounce back, and you are going to be the first place team in the division.